Genesis chapter 50, we see that Joseph lived out the rest of his days there in Egypt, 80 years from the point that he rose to power. But Joseph's fathers passed away, and Joseph continues to honor his father by not taking vengeance out on his brothers, but by living side by side with them there in Egypt. But when the time of his death was approaching, Joseph comforts them. He reminds them of God's promise to take them out of that land and bring them back to the land of promise, the land of Canaan. In Genesis 50 and verse 24, Joseph said to his brethren, I am dying, but God will surely visit you and bring you out of this land to the land which you swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And then Joseph took an oath from the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from here. So Joseph died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt. Even in his dying years, Joseph shows us what it's like to put faith in God. Joseph was standing on the promises of God. Joseph longed to go home. He longed to go to the land that God had promised to his granddad and to his fathers, especially after playing such a vital role in securing it. Joseph knows God, and he trusts God. Hebrews chapter 11 is full of people who did not see the promises of God fulfilled, but believed that God would fulfill them. Joseph is mentioned as one of them. In verse 22, it says, by faith, Joseph, when he was dying, made mention of the departure of the children of Israel and gave instructions concerning his bones. Let me remind you that we're just passing through, that we're all going to leave this earth. But the promise of heaven only belongs to those who belong to God. And so do you long to go home? Do you long to go to the land of promise? And for us to do that, we need to learn what it is to put our faith in God, just like Joseph. And what that means is whether we fully understand or whether we completely agree with God's ways, sacrificing our will, our ways, our rights, our freedoms, only to come to the captivity of His. And then and only then can we firmly stand on the promises that belong to those who belong to God.